Change program is a very interesting, very needed program. When young people spend their time in events like this, it's very positive. It's, it gives me hope for the future of Rwanda. Reading for Change is get informed and know more about the world.
Platform. And that platform offers to the audience the discovery.
This is the opportunity for anyone, regardless of class, to be able to be engaged in a very meaningful way.
And it's really good to be here in an event where people come who read and who talk about what they're
information is one-third, travels 1,000 miles.
Dark. It is as if you're remaining somewhere in the dark. You are very close. You don't know what is happening on the other side of the world.
One of the things that reading does, it changes you if you want to change.
If you don't read, you are not different from someone who can't read.
Did you know that the number of books you read doesn't really matter?
reading for change is exciting to young people. We learn a lot. Every category of people is able to attend. In order to change, we need knowledge. People at a younger age,
you're doing is amazing, and I think a fundamental part of life. It helps you to problems, and it can be every way of your life.
It's really a good opportunity to share information, experience, improvement in our different professions. And it's a free event, and I hope we get to see you very soon. Reading is very important.
And it's wonderful to be here to attend the Reading for Change program today.
I was really excited by the questions that were asked by the students and the energy about youth empowerment and youth engagement.
Reading is very important to develop yourself and to develop knowledge about the world.
Reading for Change, very transformational, very good. These guys are doing very amazing things here in Kigali.
You'll meet lots of people. You'll have really good opportunities to talk about things that are important to you, and you'll learn a lot.
These events are worth listening and learning from. So that's really good.
I lead the change to challenge. I read for change.
Thank you, everyone. I welcome you all for this Reading for Change. I would like to welcome all the speakers and everyone who's following us on YouTube. For a short introduction, AFLATAS is a youth-led organization that aims to unveil the youth potential through reading and some inspirational programs, such as monthly reading for change and weekly learning for change. With that said, I would like to welcome our book reviewer for today, Wihore Jean-Claude. You are welcome to start the reading.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. I'm by the names of Wihore Jean-Claude, and today we are going to review the book entitled The Secret Language of the Heart by Barry Goldstein. So the book itself, it's about the music and how we can use the music to entertain us, not just the usual entertainment we usually know, but to kind of just connect with ourselves, mainly with our hearts and all the parts of our body. So throughout this book, even though it seems like it's a music, I mean the book about the music, but it's beyond that. So the author of the book not only talk about the music, but he just talk about us as human beings and what makes us. And just after talking about what makes us, he just read us through how we can use the music to get the best of every part of our body. Like in the first chapter, he talks about the music within. You know, we may just know music as what we hear with our headphones or whatever equipment you may use, but we as human, we also have the music that is within us. So the author tried to explain us in details, like getting into us, and talks about what makes a human being. Like he talks about the 4 bodies that makes a human, which is emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical. And after that, he guides us through how we can tap into these 4 bodies and get them in harmony by using the music we hear. So he just, first of all, talk about how we can be in harmony with ourselves. To be in harmony with ourselves is like getting those 4 bodies that makes us into harmony, into coherence. So he just talks about the heart as the inner drum, just the drum we use to create music. So our heart in the music within is the drum, and the breath, the way we breathe, is like the conductor of that drum to create a kind of music that we hear within. So by getting to know that kind of music within, he guides us through how we can use it to just to create a good environment within us, so that we can be in good environment with the external world. So he talks about how we can use our heart to listen to our heart and to breathe. He gets us into breathing exercise after just getting to know the drum. He just leads us into breathing exercise which go hand in hand with the drum. Then the sigh, that's the components of the music within: the heart, the breathe, and the sigh. So if you get the chance to read this book, you will get to know all these parts of the music within and how you can just use them in order to get to know yourself better, so that you can be in harmony with the environment. So that's mainly what he talks about in chapter 1. And the other chapter is how you can use that to just get the best of the music within. After getting the best of the music within, that's when you can just use it in coherence with the external music, the one we hear outside. So you can't just feel the benefits of music without getting into harmony with the music within our heart, our breath and sigh, and the music we hear with the instrument, with our phones, with the headphones, whatever. So after getting to know that, I'm sure that anyone, not only those people who are fond of music, but also those who are not fan of music, can get the best of this kind of music that we take for granted. Like the music within, not most people know this kind of music that we held in ourselves. So by knowing it and knowing that it exists, then you can get the best of it. So kind of explore it and use for your best. Use it for your best. So the other chapters, in summary, is like using that music within and the external music to create harmony with yourself and with the environment around you, with the people you work with the community, wherever you go. So music, he talks about music as a transformational tool. Like someone may be sad. I know people who use music as a tool to transform their emotional state. Like you should be sad and hear a certain kind of music, then you change that emotional state to another emotional state of being joyous, happiness, and just the book get into that details of how to use music to get the best within you and with the environment. By reading this book, I'm sure that you will be able to live in harmony with you and with others around you. In the last chapter of the book, he can get us through what music can do in terms of medicine. Because if you read this book, you will see that not only medicine can heal, but when you just try to incorporate medicine that we get in the hospitals or the other kind of medicine that we have with the power of music, either the music within and the music, the external music that we have, you will get the best. Like he gives the examples in his book of people who use the music while in coma to hear something, or just to kind of shift from the unconscious comatose state to being alive and be in state of consciousness using just the benefits of the music when it is in coherence with it. When you have the harmony of external music and the internal music, I'm sure you will get the best and you will be the best you can be. So I don't know if I just have given all that I can, but at least if you try to read the book, you will get to know yourself, to know the environment you are in, and the first step to getting better is to know yourself. So I think that's kind of the summary that I can give. So thank you.
Thank you, Jean-Claude, and thank you for your recommendation. We're going to read about that. And now we are going to hear from our panelists. I think they would pass the torch to Kaiser.
Yeah, thank you, Vanessa and Jean-Claude. I think for those who have not read the book, he has just given interest to read it. And for those who have, it won't hurt to go through it again. So today we are with very special people who are going to help us so that we can better understand the topic for today, which is to know how to use music, sound, and vibrations as tools of healing and personal transmission. And the people that we have today, I'd like to introduce Fabrice Nzeimana, who is kind of like in the industry as well. We may give him time to talk more about, introduce himself a little bit, and then we can move on to the next one. Welcome, Fabrice.
Thank you very much, Keza. My name's Fabrice, as you've mentioned, Fabrice Nzeimana, and I am a musician. That's my profession. That's what I do. Although I went to law school. I did law studies and ended in music because it was my passion. So I work at Christian Life Assembly, CLA, which is one of the churches here in Kigali, and I lead the worship and creative arts, music being one of the areas where I have my expertise at church. But I also lead a ministry called Heavenly Melodies Africa that brings together musicians, gospel musicians from different countries of Africa. I think briefly that's me. I'm also a music producer, so I own a studio called Wave Lab Studios here in Kigali that does a lot of recordings. Yeah, so briefly, I think that's it. I'm married to Maya, who is also a worship leader and Bible teacher.
Yeah, I think briefly that's it. And I think for those who already knew you, they've just learned a little bit more, a few things that they didn't before. Personally, he is a really great artist, and the wife is amazing. People check out his songs. And then we are going to welcome a clinical psychologist who is with us today, who will help us to understand better. Cynthia, the floor is yours to introduce yourself a bit.
Thank you very much. My name is Lee Cynthia. I'm a clinical psychologist, and I'm currently doing my master's degree in psychiatry. Well, that's mostly it. I've worked with youth, children, grown-ups for about a year now. Currently, I'm not working because of studying and all. But I'm really glad to be here and to be able to share with you more about self-awareness. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome, Cynthia Lee. for me personally, I am a fan of psychology, and it is almost always a pleasure whenever I get to hear from one, because it feels like I'm getting it from the source. So start with the everything, how I explained the topic today. Maybe each can talk about what they know, how they know sound healing. And from there, we can just go with on the question, the audience that you are allowed to answer. Make sure you name who the question goes to, so that we can be more clear. Let's start with Cynthia.
Yes.
Could you
I'm afraid I'm having network problems.
help us understand this topic the way you are?
Hello, could you repeat the topic? I didn't hear anything. It was a bit frozen.
Oh, apologies. I was saying, with the topic that we have for this event, could you help us understand it better, like in your profession, personally, how you understand it? Thank you.
Personally, thinking about the topic of this event, I would say, I think music, well, in general, and the sound actually helps a lot in helping people run away from stress, if I could say that. Not only just stress, it gives people peace and brings them together, which characterize everything humanity is all about. And it brings belongingness, and it shows people what they have in common, which is very constructive in the behavior of humans. So looking at music as a way of healing and personal transmission, I think is a very amazing and intriguing topic to focus on while looking at how people change throughout music and how they heal from things. Specifically because there is also music psychology. There are people who are very experienced in that, who only treat people using music, and it's very, very effective. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Cynthia. I think that it is actually very interesting. I was when I was doing a bit of research on this, I saw that you actually have to go to school to learn how to be a music therapist, and it's a real thing. I was really amazed by it because I didn't know exactly how that would work, but I think we'll figure it out when you get in deep. Fabrice, I think for you, you can tell us as well how you saw the topic, and in your personally how it's caught to you, how you got it.
Yeah, thank you, Brenda. I was able to read the book, and it's a very, very interesting book. I always love, listening to, or reading new information, and just meditating on everything. And when I was reading this book, I started remembering all the other things I have learned throughout the years. I've been doing music since 1999, and I've been a musician for all that time. And so many things that are in this book are things that I do on a daily basis. I create music, and I've seen throughout the years what music does to me and what music does to the people I sing music to. I've been seeing what music does to a whole congregation of a church or a church. Sometimes in a church we have like 5 songs to lead, and I take almost a week thinking about the 5 songs, thinking about the tempos. I was glad to see in the book that they talk about tempo, metronome, things like that. So when I'm making a song list, I think about all those things, and I think about the mood that the music is going to create in the room. I think about several things. And when I'm composing a song, when I'm writing a song, I also think about, each instrument that you put there, the vibrations, the rhythm, and the emotion. So this was a really interesting book for me. I will have to maybe bring to your attention a few things that I've noticed in the book. They talk about 4 bodies. I was very much interested in that area because I realized that when you're talking about a subject, when you're talking about music, the first thing you have to do is probably, first of all, think about when it started, or what was the purpose of music in the beginning. You will allow me to be who I am and speak from my beliefs and from my understanding. Music is something that is very, very critical in what we do. I mean, spiritual matters, because in the 4 bodies, even in the book, they talk about the soul and talk about the spirit. And I remember reading one book when I was starting music. My instructor gave me that book, and the first page, there was this sentence: music is the only thing we have here on earth that was not created here on earth. And I was so shocked by that statement, and I wanted to know more. And the book, clearly explained how everything we have here, trees, water, stars, anything, you name it, everything was, according to the Bible, was created here. But music was not. There's no place in Genesis where you see God saying, let there be music, or, touching the earth and creating music. No. Instead, music was created in heaven. And the first musician was not David. The first musician was not Beethoven. The first musician was not Mozart. But the first musician was an angel called Lucifer. That many call Satan, but that's what the Bible says. And this guy was created with music, and he was like a music being. He was like a music instrument himself, because in him, the Bible says, there was everything: the tambourines, the rhythm music, the rhythm instruments, which are drums, tambourines, the ones that give the beat. And then it talks about instruments with strings, talks about the flutes and all those kind of things. So briefly, this guy was a musician, and I don't know, maybe he messed up and he was expelled out of heaven. And the most interesting thing that I want to connect with the topic today is that he was not replaced. He was not replaced by another angel. But you and I were created with the abilities to do music. So from my understanding, trying to connect with the matter of this book, the fact that God created music, for me, there are reasons why God had created music. Because music is like a way of communicating with what secular music would call the universe, and what maybe they would call superior powers. But for me, I would call it communicating with the source of life. So music is a tool. When I take my piano and I play a note and I play a chord, somehow I feel connected to another thing. Like I feel in a moment, I leave the world and connect to something bigger than myself. For me, I call it God. I don't know what you call it, but music helps you heal in the sense that it connects you to the source of life. Like it connects you to the source of, it's a way of communicating. I can create moods using music. I can create sadness or sorrow using music. I can, you know, create joy using the chords. And maybe I don't have time to go deeper into all those things, but I believe that music is a powerful tool, especially on the spiritual part, because music has a message. But even without the message, even without the lyrics, because even the book talks about the different components of music, the rhythm, the melody, and the lyrics. So even music without the lyrics has a message. That is why you can listen to an instrumental, and when you are listening to it, your mood changes all of a sudden. Yeah. So part one of my expose or my talk was to say that I believe music is spiritual, and music connects you to God, and you cannot heal or you cannot be well in your soul unless you are connected to your power, to the source of what you are looking for. I believe if a car never visits a garage, if a phone never gets charged, if a TV never gets connected to the antennas, and if my phone never connects to the network, if it's MTN or if it's Airtel, my phone will die and will be useless. So I believe human beings here on earth, they need that connection with this, the creators. And I believe music does it better. That is why healing and emotional stability, emotional life, emotional peace, all those kind of things are created through music. That was part one. Part two, I would want to maybe say this, that music in my life, I've seen it do another thing, maybe which is not in the book. I've seen music create unity. Music creates unity. Back in, I'm a Burundian. I was born in Burundi, and in the history of our country, we've seen so many, disunity, so much disunity, be it in terms of political instability or other things. But then back in 2005, I realized in our city, Bujumbura, we had this thing where if you say, okay, you are from this neighborhood, people would immediately guess which tribe you are from, because we were that divided. And churches in Bujumbura were also divided in the sense that if you are from Kamenge, people would know this tribe. If you are from Musaga, people would know this is tribe. And the churches were that divided. And when I looked at the spectrum of musicians and how they sing, that choir would be of this tribe and that choir would be of that tribe. So I decided to create a music team that was not based on a church. It means it was not geographically assigned to one neighborhood. And I decided this was going to unite these people. And we looked for a venue which was kind of neutral, which was in town, where everybody could come and access. And that's how we created Heavenly Melodies in Burundi. And people started coming from different places, and we would sing music together. The first concert we had was quite difficult, because people would not understand how we are mingling and how we are coming together from all those places. Sometimes I would go and visit a family of one of my singers, and they would be like, how did you get here? Why did you come here? But I realized when we are singing as a band, there is unity that is created. You cannot, there is something in music called metronome that we play. It's like a click that, something that we all follow, and we tune to that thing. The drummer, we tune to that thing. The bassist, we tune to that thing. And we all get synchronized. And at that moment when we are synchronized together, we can play well. And I realized if people can synchronize using a metronome and form like a family around music, they can also unite in everyday life. And a band is the best place to create those ties, to create that unity. So I started seeing people who are not from the same tribe, people who would be fighting, playing together music and singing those harmonies. When you're trying to synchronize voices, the soprano, the altos, the tenors, everybody doing their parts, but for one purpose, it's the best exercise for unity. So because I don't have much time, allow me to just stop there. And if you allow me to summarize, I believe music is spiritual and allows you to connect to the source of life, therefore helping you to be well in your soul, to be well in your body, to be well in your spirit. And I also believe music is a tool of unity if it is well used. Lastly, I would say, if you use music badly, it can also create bad emotions. It can create division because music is a message. Thank you so much. Sorry, I think I took a lot of time.
Oh, it's fine. For me, it was like I was in a trance. I could have listened to you talk about music for the whole day if possible. But to some of the questions that personally the team had put together, they were, what are the strength and the weakness of intuitions? Because I think it's not so relevant to what we were talking about, but I think it also has a kind of, because you feel something pulling you at some point, you feel there is something else that is telling you to do something, and I think that's what we call intuition. But I think the time I could give you so that you will be able to explain for us. I think we can start by Cynthia Lee, somebody who knows what mentally we are capable of, or somehow. So what would be the strength and weakness of intuition?
Thank you very much. I'd like to start by explaining what intuition is to people who may not have a clear vision of what it is. So intuition, mainly, it's a brain process that gives people the ability to make decisions without using analytical reasoning. They don't have to look at facts. It's very fast. You just have an intuition about something, you just have a feeling about something, and then you make a decision to do it. So to be able to explain the good side and the bad side of the intuition, I would have to explain that a person's brain has a two-way system. It has the analytical thinking and then the intuition. So this is how they differ. The analytical thinking takes a very long time gathering information, making facts to be able to make a certain decision. Then your intuition is very fast. You just have a feeling about something and that's it. You don't have to look at any other fact. So the good thing about intuition is it could help you during critical situations. It could alert you if there is a threat about something, if something is not going right, if you'd have to save yourself, because it's very fast. You don't have to go through, how do I do this? How do I do this? That's how the intuition works. Unlike how the analytical reasoning works, where we usually use that to solving like math problems and other, serious problems that need us to actually give you time and look at things and gather information. So the good thing about intuition is that it helps you sometimes in critical conditions. And most people consider the intuition as an unconscious intelligence, which is very needed because some things we go through don't necessarily give us the time to be able to think about everything to make a decision. Sometimes you just have to make something out in time without thinking about it for a long time. But then there is also the bad side of intuition. It's very clouded towards judgment. It doesn't include facts. So, which means sometimes you could make a certain serious decision using your own intuition without thinking about anything else, and you'd leave out important information or important facts, which would be crucial, and this could make you do some mistakes. But then there is a silver lining to using both your intuition as well as your analytical reasoning. Research has shown that when you use this, which everybody most of the times use, the people usually make every decision while using their analytical and intuition, the analytical thinking and intuition, happen to make very better decisions than those who use one of the two. So in general, without going into a lot of details, that's the good side and the bad side of using your intuition. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Cynthia. Okay, so intuition is just, it's pretty much subconscious. It's something that happens just like that. And going to Fabrice, there are many types of music in the world, and many people like different genres, and one may go for classic, one may go for rock. There are many, but would you say that intuition kind of would affect someone, pull someone closer to one type of music more than the other?
That's quite a difficult question, but I will try to say this. Again, intuition as it was defined by Cynthia, I feel like one thing I want to add before I respond to your question and about the genres, it is like you are in a state where you know something and yet nobody has told you that. You're in a state that you feel something, or you have a feeling about something. You have a feeling about someone. You have a feeling about a situation that nobody knows. And you are convinced. Most of the time you feel like, yeah, I'm convinced about this. So when you try to connect that to genres of music that you listen to, I feel like that even in the book it is said that at a beat of 60 BPM, there's a place where in the book they talk about the BPM. BPM is like you count the beats. It's like beats per minute. So those beats, he says at 60, most people when they're listening to music at 60, they are in a state where they are very calm and they are meditative, and they are able to like pause and think. So like for me, the way we lead worship, I always bring it to the practical things. You know, in a church or in any other place, I don't know, I do music in church, so you will allow me to be using those examples. Again, and when I'm creating like a playlist, I will start with maybe upbeat songs, depending on the mood that is there. And at some point, we go down to mid-tempo and then to those 60s. And it's usually around those 60 BPM songs that people start, you know, raising their hands and telling you, or maybe the people will tell you, when you were singing that song, I heard a voice speaking to me, or I don't know, I got like an answer to my problem, which in light with this book would be the intuition part, where someone is in a state where you know something. So genres can be different, but I would maybe talk about the rhythm or the tempo of the song. Most of the upbeat songs, they don't really encourage you to be in that intuition part of yourself, because it's like joyful song kind of that invite you to clap hands, to look at your neighbor and to give a high five, you know. But there are some of those songs that will bring you to closing your eyes or thinking deeply and meditating. So I'm mainly on the side of the beat instead of the genre, because it can be any genre, but depending on how slow or fast it is. I don't know if I've confused you more.
No, I think it's somehow understandable. It would help because obviously if you are hearing a really fast song, you won't have time to just get really in touch with it. But it would be quite a difference when you're hearing like a slower version of it. And I think it is really understandable. While I still have you, what do you think, what shapes our inner talk? Is it our DNA algorithm or something else? So we're still on the intuition part of things.
Yeah, our inner talk, you know, man is made of different things. For me, I believe man is, first of all, lives in the body, and the body can communicate to you. The body can talk to you. When you're hungry, the body will talk to you and say, "Hey, it's time to eat." When when maybe something you step on fire, the body will communicate to you, will talk to you, and will let you know that it is time to lift your leg. The same, your soul has many parts, according to my beliefs. Again, in your soul, you have your intelligence, you have your feelings, you have your memory, and all those kind of things that in your soul. And if something, if there is a situation, if you receive a phone call, and that phone call, I think there's even an example like that in the book when they describe somebody who receives a phone call and all of a sudden the emotions change. The emotions change. There's a voice you hear in your soul. You know, you are sad, but you don't know why you are sad. And you're having like those conversations in yourself. You are there just in a state of sorrow. The last part that maybe we are not touching is the spirit part. Your spirit also communicates, so you can be having conversations on the level of your spirit, and those conversations are mainly spiritual, maybe with your God. That's when people say, "I've heard from God," or somebody says, "I believe God is saying this," and it's not like you are hearing a voice of God speaking on a mountain, like in the times of Moses, but there are those conversations going on inside of you. So those conversations, the inner talk, for you to be able to hear those voices, you need to be in a state of calmness. You need to be in a state of tranquility. Again, there is a story of a young man called David. He had a harp, and there was a king called Saul, and this king was troubled. I believe when you are troubled, you have inner talks, you have voices in you, you have, there is something going on in the inside, and you are troubled, you can't even sleep. So they said, there is a young boy who can play harp for you. And this young boy came and he played his harp, and we are told that this king was healed, or was he came out of that. So again, there's a place of music that stops some of those inner talks, or that creates some positive inner talks, and it depends on how well the musician is trained, or how well the musician is conscious of the environment he's creating. Yeah.
Wow. I couldn't agree more with that. Cynthia, on mentally speaking, what do you, for you, with your career and all, what do you think shapes our inner talk?
Thank you so much. I'm going to try to explain this in the most psychological way as I could. Usually, people are made of, their personalities are made of 3 dimensions, which develop throughout their lifespan, how they grow up. These 3 dimensions are, there is what we call the id, and then what we call the ego and the superego. When I talk about the ego, I'm not exactly talking about the ego as in someone is proud. No, that's not the kind of ego I'm talking about. So the id is the part, is the dimension the person gets while they're children. That part of you that wants you to just get the pleasure out of everything. Like you just go for things that are not hard to get, the things that are easier for you to achieve, the things that most likely will give you pleasure. You see it in children, it's how their mind works. They don't really work according to the morals of the society. Unless something makes them happy, if she or he wants something, you'll be like, Mom, I want this. All they want is just, if I want something, I have to get it. That's the id. And then I'll talk about the superego, the ego, I'll come back to it later. So the superego is like the part, you know, like your parents' voice in your head. Like that voice that tells you this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, you don't have to do this, you have to work according to the society. You know, the voice that shows you everything how it has to be, it goes by the rules. You can't get away with it. And then there is the ego. This part comes to balance the id and the superego. It's what tells you, it's what makes us be able to function as normal people. Sometimes I'll give an example. Let's say you have a lot of work to do and you're very tired. So your superego is going to be in your head. It's that voice that you're always going to hear being like, you have to get this done. Whatever happens, you have a deadline, you have to get it done. And then the id is that voice that will tell you, no, you're tired. Obviously, you actually have to sleep. You can't work at this in this situation. This is where the ego comes in. If a person doesn't have this, oh my God, this is when they start having a lot of issues. So the ego is that voice that brings in, it compromises. It's that voice in your head that says like, okay, so we could work 50%, take a nap maybe for 1 hour and then come back and finish this. So in my experience, that inner talk comes with those 3 dimensions. It's what gives you the talk about everything you have to do if you want to get something good, if you want to make a decision in life, if you want to compromise with 2 things you want. So this is my view on the inner talk. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Cynthia. I think now we know even more about how our mind functions, and I bet not all of us knew about those 3. But Cynthia, while I still have you, what are the tips to tap into our self-awareness?
Thank you very much. I would excuse myself. I might take a bit of time on this one. When we talk about self-awareness, first of all, self-awareness is how we see ourselves, how other people see us, and how we fit into the world. So I'll tackle on 2 things. Let's go with the first one. It's very short. If a person wants to achieve self-awareness, there is something that is important, like you have to ask for feedback. I'll explain this in details. When you say ask for feedback, it's that way, whichever thing, be it at work, your relationships with your family, relationships with other people, ask for honesty. Don't be scared to hear something, considering that it's going to hurt your feelings. Like it's important if you are behaving in a certain way, it helps a lot to be able to create an environment with people around you who will feel free and who whom you will feel free that they tell you the feedback about your behaviors, that you'll be able to say, okay, instead of being offended, you just say, I could change this, I could improve this. So it's important that you look for honesty, feedback through everything, whether it's your work, whether it's your relationships, communications, and everything. The second one is the long one. I'll focus on what people should ask themselves if you want to achieve self-awareness. Most people tend to ask why all the times instead of asking what. I'll explain this. I'll give an example before I get into details. Let's take an example. You behaved in a wrong way towards someone who is your friend. To most people, we're very quick to ask ourselves later on, why did I behave like that? Why was I so mean to my friend? Why did I say those words? But then that is not going to give you the answer, obviously. It's actually going to give you a lot of assumptions which are going to push you away from the whole truth. And it's really not going to solve anything because you just know why and then what. So the right question here would be, what can I do to change what I did? So I'll get into asking what. When you start asking, what can I do? This is where you get to the point you say, if I can do something, how can I do it? This is a good question. When you ask yourself how, you're getting to the better way of saying, you know, I'm going to achieve self-awareness now. So talking about how to do something, I'll bring in 4 things to look at. The first is start looking at yourself more objectively. When you say look at yourself more objectively, this is how you ask yourself, what am I good at? What am I proud of about myself? What are the areas that need improvement in my life? The second thing is do a reflection on yourself. By doing a reflection in yourself, this is when you take enough time to think about yourself, to think about things in your life. It would be very important to have a journal. Like when you're in that moment, when you're just thinking about yourself, you write down your thoughts. In writing down your thoughts, it would be very helpful if you could figure out what are my values as a person. And then you'd say, what is very important to me at the moment, right now? What do I consider important in my life? After that, you start putting down, what can I do to contribute in the society that I am in today? Where can I help? How can I help the people who are around me? The third thing I'll look at is now you figure out what is your goal in life. This is all centered to you. You say, so what is my goal now today? When you're looking at your goal, you say, throughout what I've been doing with my life, obviously there have been things that have gone better and those that have gone wrong. So in this way, you will say, in what I'm doing right now, what is functioning better? And then you narrow down what is not functioning, what is not working for me. And then you say, what are the areas of improvement? Which process can I apply to make these things function better? Lastly, this is a fun one. People could do it. It's very fun. You could take personality tests. Taking a personality test not only helps you figure out your traits, the traits of your personality, but also helps you see how other people see you. It gives you the whole vision of how the society around you sees you. Son, there is a good saying that says, yesterday I was clever and I wanted to change the world. But today I am wiser and I am going to change myself. See, today I am wiser, so I'm going to change myself. This is a very good thing, like when we stop asking why and then focus on the what. This is when we look at ourselves instead of just focusing on the whole world, the things we can't even control. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Thank you, Cynthia. Self-awareness. Fabrice, is there a way that music, sound, or vibrations or anything can make us lose our self-awareness or gain it?
Thank you for the question. And thank you, Cynthia, for explaining all those concepts. It's so enriching. Yeah, music, there is a way, music itself, there is a way you can lose your self-awareness completely. If you use it in a bad way. There are people, for example, let me give an example, very clear example. There are people who go to the clubs because they say they want to, they want to forget about certain things, or they want to be in a certain kind of mood. And then in the morning, when you come back home, you are the same people. You come back to the same realities. And I think some people, it's like those who take drugs or want to be in a certain emotional state which they don't have. So if you use music as a way of escaping your emotions or escaping who you really are, and things that make you, I think it can be a little bit negative. But music should instead be a tool that helps us to connect to ourselves and connect beyond ourselves, so that we are able to get clarity. As I explained before, music creates moods, and it's not every kind of song that is going to connect to help you think about yourself and think about who you are. Sometimes the music will take you to another world and you are dreaming. I don't know if it has happened to you to be in that place and you are listening to music and you are gone. I'll give you an example, a practical example. There is a study that was done. People played, put like a speaker in a jungle, in a bush, and they realized that snakes would come around the speaker and stay there, and they are harmless, So it's like they are not aware of themselves, and they are not aware that they are even in people around them. They're just there enjoying. Also, I have realized that if you play music at home, I do it a lot. I love dogs. Dogs will come and just lie down, and they are not, dogs would be running all over the house, but all of a sudden when you play like a certain type of music, they just come and lie down and they are peaceful. So I don't know, maybe Cynthia would explain more on that. Music helps you at the same time to not be aware of, to lose that self-awareness, in the sense that you lose contact with the world around you, or the things that are troubling you, or the voices in you. You kind of lose it, and you are in another world, like you feel like you're in another world. Myself, when I'm playing music on stage, and there are times where you are aware of everything that is happening. You're looking at who is playing well or who's not playing well, who's listening. But there are times where you lose it and you're like in another world completely. And you're not feeling what everybody else is feeling. You are there, lost. I don't know how to explain that. Maybe the psychologist can explain. But music takes you to that place. And sometimes you feel like, is this real, or I need to come back. I need to come back to life. Because music can take you to some places and you completely forget, you completely forget that you need to pay rent.
Wow, thank you, Fabrice. You actually just answered 2 questions. The one that I asked and one that I was going to ask. about reversing negative mindsets and whatnot, and you just started to explain already how we can use music to run away from it, but it's not good. But before we get to that question, maybe Cynthia could explain more about how someone can lose their self-awareness because of music and sound.
Thank you very much. I'm not specialized in music therapy. I just go by the research and the books and the little that I've worked with at the hospital. I'll first give you an obvious example, which all of us have actually gone through. You ever see on that Saturday when you have a lot of cleaning in the house to do, and you're feeling grumpy? You're like, how am I going to finish all this work? I'll be so tired before it's even done. Then you go through your phone to find the perfect music that's going to go with the flow when you're cleaning. You see how you just dance to every music and then the whole work gets finished and you don't even realize that it's actually gone. I'll give another example. Mostly you ever see soldiers in the morning doing a run or preparing for war. Every situation people are in together, they always find a song. It's not that they're trying to use that song to understand what they're going to do. No, it's trying to build up their energy. It's trying to bring them peace and calmness. Music, I'm not very much an expert on music. I don't even sing, but it takes you in places that you'd never even understand as yourself. That it's used in hospitals most of the times. Like, I'll give an example. I'm there in your psychiatric hospital. Every week, at least twice a week, they put the patients in a hall and then they put in music for them to dance. It's not that they are pulling them to go and have fun. No, it helps people with anxiety. It helps people who are having rage issues. You could even use it when you're angry. It helps with a lot of things in treatment. It goes with the flow to every living thing. It's not just human. I really think the perfect person you have here is very, very experienced in music, explained it better. I wouldn't have more explanation to give. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cynthia. I think you helped us remember some of the very valid points that most of us do. For me personally, I was using a lot of music back when the quarantine started, because I was feeling really low, and I had these like 5 songs that I kept playing each and every day while I was doing like the housework, and it really helped a lot. So it really does help. So Cynthia, while we're still talking about our mind and whatnot, what are your thoughts in reversing negative mindset, and what negative mindset do you think we can look out for, as especially as the youth, because I think they're the ones who are following us more. So the floor is yours on that.
Thank you very much. I'll start with the negative mindset. You asked me what we would look out for. There is no specific negative mindset people look out for. A negative mindset comes with every tragic or stressful event that happens in our lives. So I'm going to explain how people get stressed out because of having a negative mindset, and then I'll go through how you reverse it, how you cool it down. This is how our brain works during a certain activity that could cause stress to us or make us sad or something. There is a circle. First, there is the action. The action happens, or a certain situation. After that happens, it goes through your thoughts. Your mind gets it in, and then you start thinking about it. During your thoughts about it, there comes your emotions. Your thoughts are what going to give place to your emotions. You only put all the emotions of what you've been thinking. And then when those emotions come out, that's when your behaviors are displayed. When your behaviors are displayed, sometimes you just give back to another action that is not good. Let me take an example. Let's say you were at school, for example, and you did an exam. This exam was a little bit too hard. And when you got out of the exam, you were like, I'm sure I'm not even going to get half of the marks. I'm not going to pass this class. So the action happened, and then your thoughts are like, I'm not going to pass this class. So this is the wrong thing that happens in the negative mindset. Knowing that you're not going to pass is, well, it could be real, but this is how we make it very negative. We catastrophize everything. Catastrophizing something is you start imagining the most impossible, worst scenarios. This is when you start saying, oh my God, if I fail this class, I might get expelled from this school. If I get expelled, my life is over. If my life is over, I don't really have anything else to do. So if I don't have anything else to do, I'm over. My parents will never be proud of me. I'll never be proud of myself. I'll never have a future. I'll never have a job. See all the things you're bringing in from a small thought that you might not pass the class, yet you haven't seen the results. So this is when your emotions come in and you're like all over the place. You're stressed out and you're going crazy. Sometimes you even go through depression out of just a mere assumption. When this happens, let's say a person goes through depression because of this, because I know a lot of people who have, and then you're probably going to stay in bed for like 2 weeks, no eating, no talking to anyone, or just angry and things are not going well. You're not participating in anything because you feel like your life is over. And then probably it's going to get really worse. You're probably never going to be productive again in your other things that were important in your life. Or it could get worse. You'd want to commit suicide because you feel like a small assumption is going to make you lose your whole life. You catastrophized everything. This is what we call the negative mindset. But here is a good way of going through all of this. When you feel like an action that happened is starting to affect your thoughts in the most negative ways, you could cool down and ask yourself these questions. What is the worst case scenario? Be realistic. Put down the questions and ask yourself, what worse could happen? What can I do? Where do I have control in this situation? What are my options? What is my way out of this? Maybe you could say, with the example I just mentioned, you could say, if I don't pass this class, I might actually get a part-time job somewhere and get, work for some money saved to pay for a retake for this lesson. So this is one option. Second, I might maybe not even fail this class. Third, I might take extracurricular activities. I was just giving a small example of studying and all, which could go to a lot of examples in real life. But it's important to ask yourself these questions in any situation. What is the worst case scenario? Let's say I'm expelled from school. Is my life really over? No. Can I get a job here? Yeah. Can I apply to this school? Yes. Could this be another option? It's important that you look at everything before you just hit the last worst scenario that is very likely not even going to happen. Thank you very much. I hope that helps.
Yeah, it definitely helps, because some of us may need that in the near future and have to bring themselves back before they start panicking. Cynthia, while we're still on the mindset and how to reverse the negative mindset, how can we cope with the stress, and what advice would you give to the audience, the people who are following us?
Thank you very much. In explaining how to cope with stress in the most fastest way, let me first give an example that's going to help you envision what I'm about to say afterwards. Let's say I have a glass, it's empty, and then I pour in some water and it's only half full, which means it's very light. It's really not going to be the heaviest thing I'm holding. It's very light. And my arm could not be affected by holding this glass in the first few minutes I'm holding it. Let's say I'll hold this glass for 1 hour, 2 hours. It wasn't heavy. Let's not forget that. It really wasn't heavy. But then I hold it for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. My hand is going to get sick. It's actually going to want to fall out. Let's see why this is going to happen. It's not because the glass was heavy. No, it wasn't. It's about how long did I hold it? This is what happens when you get stressed. Something could happen and it could affect us. And at the moment, it may not be as heavy as it's going to get when we keep overthinking about it for the next 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, which brings me to when I say that we shouldn't ask why, we should ask what. When you ask, why did this happen to me? Why did this have to happen? Why did I get put in this situation? This question is not going to get an answer. When your brain doesn't get an answer, oh my God, it gives you a lot of work. It keeps bringing you the why. And the more you think about it, which comes to what I was talking about, you catastrophize everything. This is when you get stressed out, like completely stressed out, and you feel like everything is over. But it's important that we learn how to put things down for a moment. So in a quick way, without having to go see a therapist if it hasn't become to the most tragic way, there is a very good breathing exercise. Someone talked about it in the beginning. You could take a moment, turn off everything, get away from everything, take time for yourself and have a breathing exercise, like breathe in, breathe out. You take just a few minutes to do this. It helps you calm down for a moment and take in the environment, take in what is going on around you. Take time to think. Is there a way out of this? If for the moment you can't see the way out of everything, or you can't see a better line, you just find a quick distraction. Music. We were talking about music. You could just put in some music for a moment. It helps you run away from the reality. You know, it helps you feel like everything is calm for a moment, which will help you when you stop listening to this kind of song and then you come back to reality. Your brain is going to be more calm. It's going to have more ideas, fresh ideas on how you could look into this. You won't look at it with the, scared, anxious, angry vision. You just be the new person who's going to look at this and find solutions instead of asking why. You just be like, what can I do? So also having hobbies on the side, things that could distract you quickly. If you maybe go play something, a song, go with a friend or play a game. But then still music is the better choice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cynthia. I think for the people who are following us, you have just gotten tips on how to reduce stress, and I hope it works out. And so that was the end of my questions, but let me just check for the audience and see the questions that they might have added there. One with Dusaima Fidel. It says, clearly all things are understandable on the side of Cynthia. She's on the side of psychologists. How does these astuces, I don't know the word well, how can they be applied on real life depending on one's field of engagement? Cynthia, did you hear the question? It's addressed to you.
Everything was kind of breaking in between. Could you repeat the question?
Oh, sorry. So the question says, how does these, I think, examples can be applied in real life on one's field of engagement?
Which examples exactly? The ones I talked about on reducing stress or reversing negative mindset?
I think they were about the mindsets, but maybe we can ask the person who asked the question, please make it clear, make the question clear. And in the meantime, while we wait for him, we can check other questions. We have Serika Peter, who is saying, I'm not good at singing at all, but the way I like music, especially gospel worship songs, is incredible. Is it normal? The question is addressed to Fabrice.
Well, is it normal? It's very normal. It's very normal that you like music. It's very normal that you get you have preferences in music. We all have preferences, and I am like you. I like music so much, and I like gospel music so much. Because of course music goes beyond the sounds and the harmonies, and music is a connector. It connects you to a certain thing depending on your beliefs. Like for me, as I said, music connects me to God absolutely. And I think Cynthia gave examples of how you can use music to do certain things. She gave example of somebody cleaning on a Saturday, and you're listening to some good music, and it helps you finish the tasks in a much easier way. She talked about soldiers when they are preparing for war or preparing for those hard exercises. They sing, they chant songs, and it helps them. And I believe, as I said in the beginning, music was created to help us connect to something bigger than ourselves. And that thing which is bigger than ourselves allows us to get strength, allows us to get relieved if we have stress. It allows us to do so many things. So I am glad that you are talking about this, and I'm glad that you like music. Please keep following music. It will connect you to something.
Yeah, Peter, I hope you got your answer. And for those who had the same question, I think that is very clear. Next question we have Doroni Obed, who says, can you tell us about the link between physical exercise and music? Because for me, they kind of have the same effect as long as the stressing is concerned. So I think both of you are going to have to put an input on that question, because it kind of works, balances the two, mentally and music. It's the question asks both. I think we can start on the way of music.
I thought we were going to apply the rule of ladies first and have Cynthia speak first.
Okay, thank you. People use exercise for different reasons. So him talking about exercise and music working the same way for him is probably because he uses that to relax, to chill, have a good time, which could very much work the same way. I agree. But if a person is using exercise as a way of losing weight, getting healthy, then music and exercise are obviously not working the same way. But answering in a way he asked, if he's using exercise as a way of relaxing, of wearing off the stress, then it's definitely, most definitely going to work the same way as listening to music. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that there's no much I can add to that. If music works the same way as exercising, I believe, yeah, it's. Let me just add maybe something. When you're exercising, there is something that happens. There is a rhythm in exercising. If you are running, for example, I don't know if you have noticed when you're running, you try to create rhythm. For me, when I'm running, I love listening to music at the same time, and I like finding songs that go to the same tempo as my running. So I probably get what you're saying. When you create that rhythm, and that's the only thing you are focusing on. When you are running 1, 2, 3, 4, you are running, and you are in that rhythm, you forget other things, you forget the stressing things in your life, and you focus on that rhythm that you're creating. And I think even when soldiers are singing those songs and they are running or whatever, there is a way you don't get tired easily because the song is not over yet. So music and exercising they work together in terms of creating rhythms of work or rhythms of in our lives. Yeah, there's that rhythm that is created by music, and you keep listening to it. That's how you forget. That's how you forget. There is a book I think by Plato. He talks about music and metaphysics, and he said that music. He gave an example of lullabies. When the mother is singing the lullabies, she creates a rhythm, and the child who was crying tries to follow the rhythm and forgets about the crying and connects to the rhythm of the mother, and therefore stops crying. You know, the child stops crying because he has actually forgotten about the crying and the reason why he's crying, and the child is trying to follow the rhythm. So music and exercising, I feel like they work the same in that sense when they are creating rhythm for you to follow. Yeah, that's what I can say.
Wow. Okay, now we know you can combine music and exercise if you want, and it will be good either way. So the other question that we had, I finally found where he was talking about the tips to tap into self-awareness. That's why in the question, he was asking the question from that. So how do these tips, how can they be applied in real life, depending on one's field? And he says, probably not beyond to music. So that was the question, Cynthia.
Thank you very much. If he did listen to all the tips that I went through, talking about asking what and then going to how, it kind of comes out very clear to how you apply it in every single field that you're working in your life. Let's say at the part where I was talking about what is your goal in life? You look at your goal, not just within your workplace. Let's say you work in a certain company. I won't name a post, just any post you're working in at a certain place. You set a goal when you went to work there, and you said, in 5 years or in 10 years, I wanted to achieve this. I wanted to be this kind of person. I want to be able to have this kind of experience within this certain field. When you bring it in your life, looking at your goal, this is when you say, So what is my goal in life? Apart from my work, because that's not the only thing that defines me. What's my goal as a human being? When you say what's your goal as a human being, it's going to reflect more in the society you live in, starting with your family, your friends, the most important people in your life, and the ones you're going to meet in the future, which is where I talked about what is working for you. When I said what is working for you, it could be at work, where are you functioning better, or in your life, how are your behaviors affecting other people? This is when you look at how do other people see me? And then you question yourself, what is not working? Where am I not doing my best? Where is the area of my improvement? So everything I said could work just in life as figuring out yourself as a person, as well as work in your workplace, in your business, at your job, how you want to improve as a person. I hope he doesn't forget when I mentioned you could take a personality test. A personality test not only shows you your traits, but shows you exactly how the people around you sees you. And that's when you'll be able to say what is not working for me. Which brings me to when I said having the kind of mindset that wants to ask for feedback from the people around you because they look at you objectively. When you look at yourself subjectively every day, they also look at you objectively. They look at you as a person and they see your behaviors. So it's important to have the kind of mindset that asks people for feedback. You could ask your friends or your people at your work or in your family, how am I working with this? Am I very good at communication? Do I treat the people around me well? Am I a nice person to get along with? This helps you become the best version of yourself who doesn't get offended when they give you criticism about your behavior. Instead, you look at it as an opportunity for improvement, for change, to reach your full potential. I hope that answers his question.
Yeah, I hope it answers the question too. I don't know if he's still online so that he can answer that, but in the meantime, those are the end of the questions, and I think it is also the end of our event, with a special thanks to our guest speakers and the host and also the book reviewer. It was amazing having you here. And for the audience, thank you for the questions. Thank you for following us. And for everyone else, remember to subscribe on Afflatus Africa's YouTube channel so that you may be able to follow every other event. Speaking of which, next week is Saturday and there will be Learning for Change. It is also a very interesting event, and it would be very, very nice to have you there too. So thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening.
Thank you too.